Hello, my friend, and welcome to Something for Everybody. My name is Aaron Machbitz. Joel, welcome back to the show for a record-setting 5th time. First, how do you feel about the record?
That's
enshrined in the Hall of Fame.
Am I getting a championship belt or?
If I dig enough through my closet, I can find you my old one.
I'm honored. I always look forward to September when I get to come and podcast with you. I still remember the first one I ever did, and well, we're in a completely new location now. I guess now's the cut the frame to 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we are, talking.
Yeah,
it's crazy. 5th time. I'm excited.
The 6th one, which will be next year, will be in a studio. Or maybe we'll keep the couch vibe. Who knows? But obviously,
I like the couch vibe because, if you're looking for a great couch, I'm telling you, the Leather Sofa Company of Dallas is the place to get a couch. That's why you'll always see us sitting in a couch while doing this. It's because we love the Leather Sofa Company. If you need one, remember, call the Lurries, Mitch Lurie, Seth Lurie, Tanner Lurie. They could get you your new great leather couch.
That's
sofa.
That's our ad for today. Thank you for doing that ad. Great. So Joel, update us. Highlights from the last year. How are you doing? What's new?
Highlights from this last year. There's a lot of highlights. There's a lot of lowlights too.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with the good.
Right.
Last time I was on this podcast, I was back in with the parents because somebody very nice asked me to leave my residence, and so I moved back in with the parents for a couple months, and now I am on my own, have an apartment on my own. I'm very satisfied with it. It's close to the activities that I do, close to work, close to family, and so and I enjoy the privacy. So living alone, it's different. I haven't lived by myself in quite some time. I've always lived with somebody else or had a roommate, so it's definitely an adjustment, but I found it more motivating to get out and do more stuff. It's easy to just hermit up. I do enjoy those days of just after work not going out and doing anything.
Sure.
It's definitely made me more motivated to get out and do more. Let's see what else. Highlights. Mavericks made it to the finals.
They did.
The Rangers won the World Series since I've been on the last podcast. So unless you're a Cowboys fan, Texas sports has been pretty good.
Stars had a pretty good year, right?
Stars had a good year. Almost made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. We'll get them next year, but Mavericks, they look good. I'm hopeful for this upcoming season. Luka looks good. And Rangers unfortunately couldn't follow up that championship World Series year, but
they're having a tougher year. Yeah,
it happens
for sure. Last year their World Series win was like kind of sort of out of nowhere. The year before they were one of the worst teams in baseball. Mm-hmm. They get Bruce Bochy. They absolutely piss it down their leg at the last week of the season, barely squeak into the playoffs, and then just go on just an absolute monstrous tear, especially at home.
No, we were the road warriors.
Especially on the road, excuse me. And then you had random dudes like Evan Carter just play outside of their whole body the whole World Series, which is normally what happens when you have a team that wins the World Series. You generally have one or two guys that you don't expect to be great, but that's how you have to win in that time of the year. And baseball is all about momentum, and the Rangers picked up some crazy momentum, and it was sweet to see that. They're having a little off year this year, but they've been riddled with a lot of injuries. But there's some bright spots for the Rangers. Like Wyatt Langford is the future of the franchise. Hopefully they can keep him around.
Dude looks good. Josh
Young, healthy, is amazing. We'll see how Al Leiter and Kumar Rocker can be as sort of our starting rotation. Leiter got off to a tough start for his first few major league starts, but pitching in the major leagues is freaking hard. So
Unless you're Paul Skeens.
unless
That
you're Paul
dude's good.
Skeens, that dude is awesome. So yeah. And then as we're speaking right now, the Cowboys are 1-0.
I know. As we're speaking at this time, I'm not like the most optimistic this season. I'm actually the first time not delusional. I'm not getting like super hopeful. Like, yeah, it's our year. We played a crappy team week 1.
Well, I always root for Dak Prescott.
So yeah, Dallas
I love
Sports.
Dak Prescott.
Dallas Sports was a highlight, and he got paid. Yeah,
he got paid big time, which means he's going to give more money to his mental health foundation, which is going to be more good stuff from that because he does really good work in that community.
It's great.
Anyways,
let's see what else.
What do we got?
What else have I done? Did a lot of traveling this year. 2 bachelor parties, 3 bachelor parties actually. I forgot to put Austin on here.
Mine was a bit more local.
Yeah, so I went to Phoenix, Vegas, New York, Denver, Charlotte, and Austin.
Denver was your favorite?
Denver was fun. They were all, no, New York, honestly, was probably my favorite.
Yeah?
Because, I went to go see the symphony there. Hiking was fun, of course, because I go to Denver almost every year now. But they were all fun trips. Las Vegas, that was a bachelor trip. Charlotte was a bachelor trip. Austin, got to meet your friends. Shout out the baseball crew and everybody else that was on the bachelor trip, and especially you should see Keegan on the slide. That was definitely a highlight on that trip. Oh man, I've never seen a dude so happy on a water slide.
There's not like better things in life than seeing someone you care about enjoy something so much. So the energy translates so easily, and I was just having obviously I was already having a great time with my bachelor party, and it was like a bunch of dudes that I absolutely fucking love. And then you see Keegan just like absolutely having the time of his life, and you're like, there's no way that you could be in a bad vibe right now.
That a 30-something-year-old going down a slide into a lake is like
the best.
It was, it brought a smile on even the people on the boat next to us.
Oh yeah,
it was funny. Yeah, I'm sure, and then they got scuba diving certified this year. So looking forward to
fired up about that.
Yeah, it's very relaxing under the water. I highly suggest giving it a try. Like they have a discovery lesson that you could do at the dive shop that I go to, but it's very meditative. It does take a second, to adjust to a different way of breathing, because you're really just breathing with your mouth, not with your nose at all. And it becomes very meditative. So you really learn to slow down your breath. You're concentrating on just very specific things, that you're doing. It's very task oriented. So it becomes very relaxing and very meditative, that I found out. If you're going to do it and you're like scared of the ocean, go try it in a pool then.
Yeah.
It's a very cool and, like I said, relaxing thing. And once you give it a shot, who knows? You
loved it.
I loved it.
And now you're going on a trip with your dad?
Dad's not going in the water. He probably don't know if he'll get medically cleared. But he and I are going, and he'll enjoy a boat ride, and I will enjoy multiple dive trips. So
amazing.
Yeah, so did that. Some of the lower things, my grandma passed away in March, so she was 86, damn near 87 years old. Mm-hmm. Had a very strong relationship with her. Saw her in January, and while my dad was on his trip to Antarctica, when she was clearly declining a bit, but still very active, wanted to drive me. And I said, no, thank you. I'll take an Uber. She was just telling me, I just want to know how your dad's trip was, see him one last time. And then she passed away, 2 months after I saw her, and got to see my dad. Passed away 2 days after my dad got to Phoenix to see her. So, it was tough to lose grandma, but, in a better place. She lived a fantastic life. She lived what multiple people could live in one life. She's been to almost every continent. Dad hit Antarctica for her.
There we go.
She met so many different people. She had a great story. So, definitely gonna do miss her every day. But she lived a good life, and on to better places. She, I think, raised a good family. I mean, I like to think I turned out decent, and so did the rest of the fam. Okay, yeah, just okay. But yeah, no, she was great, and
you always I mean, when we were living together, at least you always put a lot of effort into either speaking to her, but more importantly, going to see her.
Yeah, no, I talked to her every week when she was around.
Yeah, and that's very important.
One of the people that just listened unconditionally, and she just liked to know what's going on. She was a very independent person up until the very end. Didn't want assistance or anything. Just wanted to live life as her own. So I miss talking to her every week and going up to visit. So we'll see if I make some sort of trip. We're in the process of liquidating the house or selling the house. So sad, a lot of memories there. But again, it's part of life. Is what we hope for. Part of life is growing old and living a long and happy, healthy life.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what I did. With the lessons I learned is stay busy, be active, be kind, and smoke half a pack of cigarettes a day. So maybe not that. She died of lung cancer, so I don't necessarily. I don't think smoking the half pack a day is going to be a contributor. But
if you think you could ask her, do you think she would have traded that, or do you think she enjoyed it as much that she would have kept doing it?
I don't think she cared. She knew the difference. She tried to stop at times. And she did kind of once it was later in life, but she was so independent. She's so in her ways. I think if you asked if she did anything different in life, I don't know what she would say. Maybe get divorced a little bit earlier. But no, she lived life the way she wanted to, like exactly the way she wanted to.
That's much respect to that.
Yeah. So, definitely is definitely a role model. That's what I say.
What else?
That's a good legacy. What else? Tons of good movies. I'm trying to think what came out this year that was fun. Dune 2.
Dune 2 was really good. Deadpool Wolverine was really good.
Deadpool Wolverine was a fun one. It was cool to see the mask finally put on.
We saw It Ends With Us.
Is that the Blake Lively?
Yeah, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
I have not seen that.
According to my soon-to-be wife, the books are really good. The movie did an okay job. I think the story behind it is quite important. I mean, the story is about domestic violence, and the reason that title is It Ends With Us is because the mom who was abused and the daughter that got born, they made from my understanding from the movie, they made a pact. Like, this cycle of abuse ends with us. And we're going to move forward and try to create healthy relationships and stand up for ourselves and do all these sorts of things.
Got it.
It was quite a good movie, but it's always like, I get really uncomfortable watching domestic abuse. Like, I'm sure that's most people, but like I have I can't wrap my brain around it.
Yeah, no, I get it. If the story's done very well, fortunately, when it comes to my sound and audio class for film, kind of ruined how I see stuff on screen.
Yeah.
Because I know, if there's a bone crunching, it's probably some jackass in a studio playing with frozen carrots or something, making a snap. But yeah, no, I get what you mean. It's it's tough to see those heart-wrenching stories.
But that's what great movies are. They're real narratives about things that actually happen to people in life.
Exactly.
And how can we overcome those things? How can we shed a light on how it's happening and what can we do about it and all those sorts of things.
Did you see Inside Out 2?
I did not. Heard that was excellent. Need to watch Inside Out 1 as well.
Oh, you haven't seen Inside Out 1?
Yeah.
That would be that's something I'm surprised, on. It does a good job of teaching you about processing emotions.
That's what I've heard.
One, I personally like the first one much better than the second one. I think I've seen the first one like 2 times or something.
I plan to watch them both and then do like an episode about it.
It's very good. It is very, very good. Oh, another great one this year, Madam Web. I'm just kidding. That one was shit. Excuse
Oh,
me. That one was not very good. I did not like it.
I didn't. I watched the whole thing. It was okay.
No.
Like really bad, but I don't. It's hard for me to say that it was really bad because I've done live performances and entertainment where I know that I shit the bed.
Yeah.
You know, and it's tough to hear that. But movies are not live. Like you can go back and reshoot the thing.
Yeah.
You can go back and watch the film and be like, that just wasn't very good. We can do this again. We can do it better.
It's an edit. Yeah.
Like, and if it just all of a sudden the movie is 2 hours and you're like, this is no good, you also have a choice not to put it out. No, I get it. You spent money on the thing, but isn't that probably better than showing yourself in a really horrible light?
I was going to say reputation.
You know, so
can that be bought?
So I guess there's, you know, but they decided to put it out obviously, and it was just not enjoyable.
No, not at all. But no, there were not a lot of great movies this weekend or this year. Ricky Stenicki.
Oh God, Ricky Stenicki, let's go. John Cena.
Yeah, that
was great.
I forget some of the songs.
I mean, I laughed my ass off.
Oh, yeah. I forget what was one of the songs that they did. It was just that was funny. I mean, just corn names or something.
Dune Part 2. We said that was good.
Yeah. Other than that, it wasn't like a great movie year.
Not awesome.
Trying to think what. Oh, I turned 30. Ooh, yay, milestone. Nothing exciting about that.
My life only got better when I hit 30.
So it is uphill. I just bought a new mattress. That's a nice big buy. You know, I said if my last 10 years of my prime of my life, I want to be comfortable sleeping.
Dude, mattress is a great idea to invest money and you spend every night in there.
Yeah, sorry, we don't got a mattress sponsor yet, but if you're looking to sponsor, you know, Leather Sofa Company does have pull-out couches.
Yeah, hit up my agent Joel if you want to sponsor the podcast.
Yeah, if you want to sponsor the podcast and you're a mattress company, we'll even take the dump. You know, at the dump. So we'll even take y'all.
That would be a great ad read.
Cool.
This episode is sponsored by
the dump. At the dump.
Yeah. Get all your podcasting needs at the dump.
Yeah. Other than that, yeah, that's really the big things that have happened. Just continuing to maintain positive relationships with people and keep just grinding and living life.
What do you want your next year to look like?
What do I want my next year?
So, when you come back here in 2025, what do you want to have to say?
Goal is to buy a house in the next year.
Great.
Where, what, you know, all that stuff. I don't know yet. I didn't, you know, making one of the biggest decisions of your life is a weekend decision, not even a weekend decision. It's like you see it, you need to put the offer in or somebody else is going to.
Yeah.
It's a little bit frightening to me.
For sure.
Because I'm not a decisive person. But the goal is, you know, my lease ends in July, so start looking around next summer and get to look forward to being a homeowner. That's the goal. So,
well, you've been around for some of our trials and tribulations when it comes to home stuff.
Yes, I know the problems, but I wasn't as financially responsible for those problems that occurred.
That's right.
That's why I had a great landlord.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And
just know that everything breaks all the fucking time.
I was gonna say things will break, and so it's always the you know, little stuff's gonna annoy me being a homeowner, but I guess having a place that's your own space is gonna be nice. I'd like to not have shared walls, so I could play my trombone a little bit more. So
I mean, there is a sense of peace.
Yeah,
that's why I like having you go on a long trip or you have a day of work or you went out to see friends or whatever. There should be, like, when you walk in the door, like, there should be a sense of peace. Like, this is my place. This is where I can be me, free, whatever the case may be. Because sometimes we have to, you know, do certain things in a certain way when we're with certain people or at work or, you know, try to be authentic as possible. But sometimes you have to mold a little bit. That's just sort of what society is. But when you walk into your home, it should be like, this is my place. This is where I can just be. Yeah. And that's important. I think that's an aspect of having a home. that people don't talk about, besides like having to fix everything on your own when it breaks outside of an apartment. Like it's much more convenient. Like you have someone who's going to come up and fix that stuff, but just depends on what you're trying to do with your life and the equity you're trying to build and the future you want to have and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So hope to have a home. Hope to, I'm still enjoying my job while I'm working there. It's gone through a lot of changes too, and the 4 years I'll be there in September. So, which is this year, so September 21st. Because I think the first time I had this podcast, I'd either just been offered or still interviewing.
I think you had just got the job.
I think I had just been offered the job.
Because we were celebrating.
We're
celebrating you moving in and you getting a job.
It was very exciting. So yeah, I've been with the same company, been enjoying it, and it's cool to see how it changes, throughout time and technology and all that. So
yeah,
work's going well. I hope that there's a peaceful solution in Israel. That's been a big thing.
It's on all of our minds.
That's weighed on me. I got friends, I got extended family that live there. And then just being Jewish in America right now is a little bit is a place where I didn't think that we would get to, but am I surprised? Yeah, but am I shocked? No. I mean, we learn history tends to repeat itself.
Yeah.
So how we react is all we could do, and just continue praying, being positive, showing commitment. And finding connection with people. That's been the most important thing, throughout this rough time. Do I have a solution in the Middle East? No, but I could be nice and kind to individuals and try to listen, and formulate, my own opinions and point of views on the entire thing. So
yeah,
but I check in with, my friends that are over there and make sure. They're like, life goes on as normal here. It's all we could do. We could just try to move on and not try to think of any negative stuff, because that'll just, weigh you down. And they got to just continue about life. And so that's what's going on. And
yeah.
Same thing here. Just got to not try to be thinking about it all the time or what can and cannot happen, and just control the things that I can't control.
That's right. Yeah. But there always seems to be some sort of togetherness despite a sort of tragedy that has happened and continues to happen for everyone involved. But there always, like, at least for the Jewish community, like there seems to be a closer togetherness or coming together, like random people who you would never expect identifying as Jewish coming out and supporting that, or identifying as that, or whatever the case may be. That seems to always be that seems to be the likely case whenever something,
they say we're one soul,
horrific happens to a community. And that tends to always be true. I think, at least in my experience, at least from the episodes that I've released and what I've talked about and how people respond to those sorts of things. So that, I don't know what word to use. It's not cool, but I mean, we've all been through tragedy. You just talked about your grandma dying. Like there always seems to be some goodness that can come out of that. And there has to be. That's the reason why we're put in these situations. That's the reason why we have to go through the inevitable, suffering to figure out what's on the other side to make us wiser, better, smarter, kinder, more compassionate, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to be the one that pulls, the trigger to say, ceasefire, or, but what I can do is listen to somebody that's in my vicinity and just talk. And then when it comes to my own community, same thing. Listen, embrace, and just share in each other's, hopes and prayers for, peace to come.
That's right. So, all right. You want to move on to,
cool. Yeah. What's that? So that's what's been in my life. Ooh, yay. Stay tuned next year for what's up in, Joel's life.
The people love the Joel Sands update.
Yep. And, yeah, what's next?
All right, let's look at some. I sent you a list on Twitter that we were going to talk about.
Yeah, that was an interesting list.
You responded, which is the best. You responded with, that seems like the Gym Bros version of Dale Carnegie's list of how to influence or how to win friends and influence people. So then I was like, okay, let's just talk about some of those things that are in that book. And so we're going to. So the book is like one of the most influential and famous books that's ever been written of all time. On the cover of the book, it says that 15 million copies have been sold. It's probably more now.
Yeah, I don't know what date that one was printed.
Because that looks like an old book that your dad might have given you.
Yeah, where'd you put it?
It's still downstairs.
Okay.
But again, that's how to win friends and influence people. And the first thing we'll talk about is do not criticize, condemn, or complain. Carnegie writes, any fool can criticize, condemn, or complain, and most fools do. He continues on to say that it takes character and self-control to be forgiving. This discipline will pay major dividends in your relationships with people. What do you think about that one?
I think it's great, and one that I probably listen to the least and probably need to do the most work on. I'm a very blunt and open person. I wasn't always, and maybe not for the better. I have become more just opinionated. I get that from my grandma. She was a very opinionated person. But I think as Jerry Seinfeld once said, I hate family vacations. Not one of my favorite things to do. But what I do love to do is to complain. I love complaining. And I kind of agree with him. There's a lot of humor in complaining and stuff. But I can understand how that's off-putting, being critical and complaining about everything. It's finding, I guess, a balance. So I do agree with it on a wholehearted part, and it's something I genuinely do want to work on, not being so critical and complaining.
Yeah. I heard Jay Shetty say it a long time ago, and I really adopted it into my life, was don't complain, don't criticize, and don't gossip. So I've been trying to do that for a while, but now I guess Carnegie was the original one of this, and he had condemn instead of gossip. But I try. I mean, but we all fall into the traps, like I'll criticize this or that, and I'll complain about certain situations, but it's always sort of like in my mind is like, this is not fruitful. This is not doing any service to you. This is not adding to your life. Okay, what can we do about it? What are the actions I can take to alleviate some of these problems that I might have? That's more fruitful. That's more beneficial than just, fucking talking about it over and over and over and over again.
Exactly.
This one I like. This one I've adopted into my life for sure. The next one is be generous with praise.
Yeah. Can you further elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think about this a lot as a coach of baseball players, young baseball players, because a lot of times in sports, the only thing that a coach will ever talk to you about is the things you're not doing right. Why'd you do this? Why'd you strike out here? How come you didn't do this? Why aren't you doing this? What's wrong with you here? Over and over and over again. And so the sort of the most dangerous side of sports is that all kids think about is if they're only valuable if they perform well. And so what I try to do is overemphasize on praising them, but I only talk about praising them when I talk about their effort. So I always talk about how hard they work, their hustle, their effort, their attitude, things that are always inside of their control, no matter if they went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. And so this one means a lot to me because my parents did this to me growing up. That's why I wanted to play baseball, and that's why I love sports, because they praised me and they applauded me and they celebrated my good stuff. And as a coach, I want to do the same thing, because anything you try to pursue, whether it be sports or band or anything, is hard. And if you're never picking out the stuff that you do well, you're always going to be thinking that you suck and never see that you've made a bunch of good progress in the right direction. And so in regards to, making friends and influencing people want to be praised. And so you have a much better chance of influencing someone potentially to do the thing you want them to do by leading with praise or leading with good stuff.
I have a perfect example that happened to me yesterday at work, actually.
Yeah.
In the office every day, I'm the only one on my team that's in the office every day. and somebody on a completely different team. I guess who we've seen around just never really knew each other's names, but always said hello. He came up and said, "Hey, you're Joel, right?" Like, I get a lot of praise from you, or I hear, people talk highly of you. I have this set of data and that a client needs. Can you help? It didn't take much thought, once he said people think highly of me.
Right.
I'm like, well, I don't know what they know about the data work that I do, but I guess because I'm personable and and relatable and genuinely interested, like in his teammates that I do see at the office more often than him, that I do actually talk to. I guess just knowing being a kind and personable person will, get you other things. So that praise, was like, sure, I'll help you out. And I was happy to.
I mean, that leads right into exactly in the next one, which is remember their name.
Yes.
Remembering people's names when you meet them, it can be obviously difficult, but like Carnegie writes, remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. It's difficult, but something that really, really, really matters.
That's true. Obviously, that person never heard you won the lottery, but no. I 100% agree. I remember, I think it was like, it had to be ninth grade communications class. They said if you want to remember somebody's name, say it like 3 times, and the first time you meet them. So like, hey, Aaron, so how was your day? Aaron, that was really interesting. What do you plan on doing later, Aaron? And so trying to repeat people's name, that's a good way to do it. But remembering people's name, I always find that, like when I go to some of the Jewish events and stuff, I don't always remember those people's names, and they sure seem like they don't remember my name. And it's very awkward to say, remind me your name. I'm sorry, especially if they do remember your name, but you don't remember theirs. I'll sometimes say, I'm Joel. Remind me your name again. Like, I'll start by reintroducing my name, so it doesn't feel a little bit uncomfortable to ask for somebody's name that you've already done before. Because it can be, like you said, remembering somebody's name and saying it is very important to the individual.
Right. And it's just about being present in the conversation initially when that person says their name. Now, if you're in a loud place and you meet like 6, 7 different people at one time, that can be more difficult. But if it's like a one-on-one interaction, or there's only 2 or 3 people there, like, it's just about paying attention in that moment and then etching it in your brain, like you said, repeating it back to them a couple times in casual sort of conversation. And then you have that person. Then next time you see them, you're like, oh, hey, what's up, Rachel? What's up, fucking Fred? How are you? It's like, oh, cool. That person may not say anything, but inside they're like, oh, that's cool. Nice. Yeah. I feel better. And then, maybe whatever happens from there. Cool. Next one is be quick to acknowledge your own mistakes.
Oh, I think that's big. And something you don't see enough in politics.
Speaking of that, debate's on tonight.
Yeah. Something you definitely don't see enough in politics, and it's why I don't say look at a politician as your role model. But yeah, being accountable. I mean, that's essentially, I think if you were to summarize that into one word, it'd be accountability. Be accountable for your actions. I mean, don't just own up for the things that you're successful at and good at, but also own up, the things that were mistakes and failures, because those always are teachable moments too.
That's right.
And being humble.
Yeah. Nothing will make people feel less defensive and more agreeable than you being humble and reasonable enough to admit your own mistakes. Having strong and stable personal and professional relationships relies on you taking responsibility for your actions, especially your mistakes. I mean, as my good friend, he's not actually my good friend, but as Jocko Willink would say, the former Navy SEAL and current podcaster, extreme ownership. Like, extreme ownership. You have to take ownership for who you are, what you stand for, the choices you make, and especially the things that don't go your way. Because like you said, that's where all the good learning comes from. And I think that's important. But like, I mean, the people that I want to be around are the ones that admit when they mess something up, because they're building that emotional bank account. And that emotional bank account is super important for when something goes wrong and they have to apologize. Like they're making a withdrawal that they have enough money to withdraw from. They're like, okay, I can do this because I've put so much into the emotional bank account of this friendship or my life that my one little mistake or my one thing that I messed up or I forgot this here is not a big deal, because you built up so much esteem and rapport with that person because they're so straightforward and honest, and they take accountability and all these great things that you sort of need for a great relationship. All right, next one. Don't attempt to quote unquote win an argument. The best way to win any argument, Carnegie writes, is to avoid it.
I disagree with that.
All right.
No, that's an interesting one. Just because when you hear like recently you've seen these people on paths of finding truth and being truth seekers and truth tellers, and they must say things that how it is, whether it comes to like religion or sexuality, or this is the right way to do stuff. People feel the ultimate need to get out there and expose what the truth is a lot of times. So it's, what's more important, to be right or to be agreeable? And I guess it's finding an interesting balance, I guess. I mean, I'm trying to think of like examples and stuff, without, stepping outside of my area of expertise. This is more your area, but like, when people talk about, trans and athletics and stuff, people pursue truth and try to win that argument with truth rather than just being agreeable, which is a better way to win. As we said, the ultimate goal in this is to win people and influence, or win friends and influence people. Is it better to be agreeable or to be right? And that's been a very interesting, conflicting thing I've had, whenever I read that. And when I do hear, at what point do you have, at what extent do you have to go and tell the truth or seek the truth? At what point should you just be agreeable? Because sometimes maybe that's a more important thing.
It depends on certain situations. Like if we're talking about only about an interpersonal relationship, like it's me and you or me and Ree, like I'm not trying to win that argument. I'm seeking to try and understand the place she's coming from or you're coming from, and so we can potentially meet in the middle. But if I'm speaking on a subject like any of these ones that you brought up, like Israel or trans or any of these sort of highly contentious subjects, what's probably most important to me is seeking truth. And so I'm willing to be disagreeable to try and seek truth, because I think that is ultimately more important than just easing your feelings. That's at least how I go about it, because I think that like seeking truth and talking about truth and trying to have honest conversations are the fabric of our society. And if we can't have a honest debate about the war of ideas without personally attacking someone, then we've lost it. If my only attack is that I'm attacking you and not your actual ideas, then we can never have a debate. But if the underlying idea is that I respect you, you respect me, and now we're just going to have a war of ideas, then I'm not attempting to win anything. Then that is actually true. I'm not actually in an argument. I'm avoiding the argument. I'm just in a conversation. I'm in a debate, which is much different than an argument. An argument is me trying to, win something, but I'm not. I'm trying to express my ideas. And if they resonate with you enough that I potentially change your mind, or you potentially change my mind, then we got to a better place. And so at least that's how I think about it in terms of like these sort of contentious ideas out and an interpersonal relationship. Anyways, thoughts?
No, I get it. Maybe I'm seeing it on too macro of a level, and but I could see I do tend to like argue a lot, and I don't know if it's that I just need to prove that I'm necessarily right, but
Maybe.
again, I could see how that could be very pushy to people.
Sure.
So sometimes it is better to be agreeable, like you said, on the one-on-one situation. But then again, you're about to get married, so you have to abide by that rule. I'm still on my own.
Yeah. I mean, the next one he says is begin on common ground. And I think that's a good point, because he says if you are having a disagreement with someone, you start on common ground and ease your way into difficult subjects. If you begin on polarizing ground, you'll never be able to recover and may lose ground with subjects on which you agree. This might be hard in all situations, but it's a good sort of rule to think about when trying to win friends and influence people.
Yeah, I always try to, what are like the biggest things that people have in common? That's why you always talk like music, movies, food. Those things are like common things that always, bring people together, and finding just common aspect makes you a lot more personal and relatable, especially when you are trying to just meet new people.
Yeah. Yeah. Two more. Have others believe your conclusion is their own. I don't know if I love this one.
I think the purpose of that is it's to lift people up. It's to make people feel included and contributing, and that they're involved in what's at stake.
Okay, you took it that way. I took it as I'm going to manipulate you and lie to you that both of our end goals are the same, and I'm just going to make you believe that so you follow me.
Well, you need to be a little bit more optimistic. You need to quit complaining and condemning.
It's my fault.
That's how it's by, uplifting. So, getting an idea across and helping other people expand on that idea, then telling them, oh, that's brilliant. Like, I could see how what that statement is doing is by trying to uplift.
Okay. Because when I'm thinking about like building a team, we want to have a shared vision. And this is kind of based on what you're saying now that I can think about it in a different way. Okay, if we have your conclusion is my own, that means we have a shared vision. That means we have a shared goal. That means we're all headed in the right direction. So we're moving and thinking in unison and as a group. And so that makes sense to me.
I mean, think if you're trying to get a double play and it goes, to shortstop, they know somebody going to go, to third. They need to make the decision. They're looking at the coach, but ultimately they're going to have to make that split decision on their own. So the coach's going to say good job, but ultimately, the coach was the one kind of dictating, even though the player on the field knows exactly where to throw the ball. It's kind of a, make the player think, he did all the work. Coach is there just for support, even though coach is calling the play.
Yeah. Okay. You've changed my mind. Maybe it's better than it is. All right, last one sort of summarizes all of them. Make people feel important. Smiling, knowing people's names, praising people, making an effort to know their interests and chat about them. Make people feel important. That is the underlying point of really all the principles that we talked about. If you make people feel important, how you walk through the world will be an exponentially more pleasant and incredible experience. That's a good line. If you make people feel important, how you walk through the world will be an exponentially more pleasant and incredible experience. I believe that to be 100% true.
Yeah. Uplift other people and you'll uplift yourself. It's, kind of the whole point of charity. It's give a helping hand. It'll make other people feel like they're valued and important. When in reality, you're kind of also making yourself feel valued and important.
Yeah.
So a give and a get.
Yeah, I read this story the other day about this teacher had a classroom full of people, and she had everyone write their name on the balloon and then throw the balloons in the air. And then she said, everyone go find the balloon with your name on it. And after about a minute, 2 minutes, no one could find their balloon. And she said, okay, just go grab the first balloon that you found with someone's name on it. And within 30 seconds, everyone had their balloon, right? Because the person got it and gave it to them. And so she's saying, life is better and happiness is improved through the service of others. Because every person who gave that balloon to the person with their name on was elated. And they found it. And now everyone has their balloon that they started with based on someone else giving them that balloon. Now there's also an inherent level of happiness that you get from doing that good deed. So all truly good deeds have a little bit of selfish intent to them, because I'm going out to do this because it makes me feel good, but I'm also helping people. So what you're saying is that, yeah, if we're in service to other people, our life is going to be better, but we're also being in service to ourselves because that's good for our health and our relationships and all these sorts of things. And it boils down to making people feel important. But you have to value yourself enough to want to go out and do that. And I think that's important as well.
Yeah. Oh, you make me feel important. I'm here for a 5th time.
On the podcast,
On the podcast.
Yeah, and I'm getting married in 12 days, Joel.
It's exciting.
It's unbelievable. It's the coolest thing that's ever happened so far in my life.
I learned the hard way that, my tuxedo don't fit the same as it did my freshman year of college 12 years ago. Your boy's expanded a bit. But if anybody 12 years later still fits into their college, I'd be very proud of you.
I think that's a good feat.
Yeah, I'd be very proud. That means you're maintaining or you're losing. I'm aging, but I'm just aging normally, I guess. Beautifully.
Yeah. Joel, you got any last minute thoughts, comments, feelings, anecdotes, things to leave anyone with? Something that's been on your brain?
No, I'm excited. Like I said, I'm really excited for wedding. Wedding's gonna be a fun time.
Oh man,
Gonna be crazy. No, I just continue just hoping, fun new things keep coming up. I keep maintaining healthy relationships and ultimately, just pursue happiness, I guess. Just enjoy life.
Amazing. Well, thank you. Record setter, Hall of Famer. Number
Can't
5.
wait for episode 6.
Episode 6, back on the couch. Most likely it'll be here. I don't think I'm moving anytime soon.
Hey, maybe I'll be your neighbor. Who knows? Maybe
Let's
you
go.
could do it at my place.
There's 3 houses for sale in our neighborhood.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're probably a little bit out of my budget, but we'll take a look. And that next episode will be brought by the Leather Sofa Company too.
Yeah, every
episode
for the rest of time. I mean, we're almost at 300. We're almost at 300. We'll hit 300 in October.
I think you need to have a very, very special guest for 300.
I do.
Maybe let me say it a bit louder. I think there needs to be a special guest for episode 300.
Yeah, she. Yeah. Well, my wife will at some point come on the podcast, but that's okay. You'll have to deal for now.
I'll moderate. I'd be happy to moderate.
Well, thanks everyone. Appreciate it. Share this with a friend, a loved one, anyone. And we'll see you guys next time. Lots of love. Cheers. Thank you very much for tuning into that episode. And if you enjoyed it, click right here for another full-length episode of the podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe. But most importantly, above all else, please take good care of yourselves and others. And I'll see you next time. Lots of love. Cheers.